Hi Caroline, this is Liz just thinking about parabolas again. I wanted to make you an extra video just for fun so I can learn how to make videos. So I decided to talk a little bit about transformations of functions and about parabolas. I'm going to email you some other ones too. Anyway, here's that chart we were looking at together. We've got vertical parabolas and horizontal parabolas. Here's the two formulas for both, and we kind of went over these on Wednesday. So once you figure out what your P is for these, you can figure out which direction they're going to go. On your vertical parabola, if P is positive, then it's going to point up. So your directrix will be beneath the parabola and your focus will be inside it. If P is negative, it's going to go down. On a horizontal parabola, P is again going to determine the direction it's going to go. When P is positive, our parabola is going to point to the right. And when P is negative, our parabola is going to point to the left. A key piece of information that we can get from this formula is our vertex, which is going to be HK for either one of these. So let's look at an example really quick. X plus 3 squared equals negative 16 times y minus 12. The first thing I want to think about is this horizontal or is it vertical? Since we've got x squared, I can tell this is going to be a vertical parabola. The next thing I want to do is figure out, is it going up or is it going down? And to figure out that, I'm going to look at my p-value. So I know negative 16 equals 4p. That means p has got to be negative 4. And that tells me this is going to be pointing down. It also tells me that my focus and my directrix are each going to be a distance of 4 from my vertex. Let's go ahead and find the vertex. We have x minus h. That means h is negative 3. And y minus k. So that means k is 12. Our vertex is going to be at negative 3, 12. We can go ahead and make a pretty crude little graph of this. So let's see, negative 3, 12, a little to the left, a little bit up, well, a lot up. There's our vertex, negative 3, 12. Our directrix is going to be 4 above that. So it's going to be at y equals 16. Our focus is going to be 4 below that. So the focus is going to be at negative 3, 8. I'm going to go ahead and just draw a basic graph of my parabola through here. And now one thing you might be wondering is, well, how can I find out what these points are? How can I find my x-intercepts? If you want to find your x-intercepts, all you have to do is set your y equal to 0. So to do that, I would go back to my equation, substituting 0 for y. That's going to give me x plus 3 squared equals 192. Then I can just take the square root of both sides. So now I've got x plus 3 equals 8 square root 3, or x equals negative 3 plus or minus 8 square root 3. And that tells me the locations of my x-intercepts. So I'm going to have negative 3 minus 8 square root 3, 0. And then this other one is going to be negative 3 plus 8 square root 3, comma 0. And that would just be if you needed to do those 2 points. So let's look at an example of a parabola that goes horizontally. I can tell this is going to be a horizontal parabola right away because I have y minus 4 squared. That tells me this is not going to be a function. Let's go ahead and look at some of the properties of this. Well, my vertex, x minus h, tells me h is going to be negative 1. And then y minus k is 4, so my vertex is going to be at negative 1, 4. What do you think? Is this going to point left or right? That's right. It's going to point to the right because P is positive. Let's go ahead and figure out what P is. 4P equals 8. So P equals 2. So my focus and my directrix are each going to be a distance of 2 away from my vertex. Let's graph it. Basic little graph here. I'm going to go ahead and put down my vertex at negative 1, 4. And then I know this is going sideways. I'm going to go 2 to the right to find my focus. 1, 2. So that means my focus is going to be at 1, 4. And my directrix is going to be to the left. It's going to be at x equals negative 3. I'll draw my parabola through my vertex. Ooh, I missed it. Let me try again. There we go. So there's a good little estimate of my parabola. I may be wondering what these 2 points are. These are my y-intercepts, and if I want to find them, I can just set x equal to 0. So that would give me y minus 4 squared equals 8. Let's take the square root of both sides. Now I'm going to have y minus 4 equals positive negative square root of 8. Or I could simplify that to y equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 2 square root 2. So this one is going to be 0, 4 plus 2 square root 2. And this one down here is going to be 0, 4 minus 2 square root 2. So there's a couple of examples for how to graph parabolas using the, well, not exactly the vertex form, but using this particular form. And I'm also attaching a couple of links in this email to a really great website that has a quiz, it has notes, and it has a video that's a little bit better than this one on how to graph parabolas. So hopefully that's helpful. I'll make another video in a minute on transformations of functions. And thanks again for letting me tutor you. This has been a lot of fun for me.